What up, y'all? Appreciate you showing up, hanging out, listening to my dumb ass. Like and subscribe. So, Sony's trying to make some moves. Well, see, a lot of the, I guess, media outlets, content creators, whomever, have been reporting that Sony's gonna buy from software. Sony's buying. What had happened though was, excuse me, Sony sent a letter of intent to Kadokawa. Is that how you say it? Kadokawa? Whatever. To the company, the parent company that owns From Software and a bunch of other stuff. They own, I think, Famitsu. They own some anime stuff, comic book and manga, all that stuff, right? And so I'm like, I don't really care about the FromSoft stuff. I mean, look, it would be detrimental to Sony's business if they made that exclusive, because From Software games, while they're good to some people, personally, they're alright. They're mid. But some people like them, some people can't stand them. Whatever. I'm in the middle. I'm like, I can see, I like the boss encounter. It's hard, but still, I get it. I understand. But that game is not a mainstream game. Yes, it won Game of the Year. What did it sell? 15 million copies or something? I don't remember. But it's not a giant game that will make a whole lot of casuals go out and buy a PlayStation console. Making that game exclusive is not smart, because A, it's not going to sell as many. B, it's not going to make people go buy a console. It's not that type of game. It's not Mario. It's not Astro Bot. It's not any of those games. So, but the main thing that people keep kind of focusing on, FromSoft, oh my gosh, they're going to buy it and they're going to have FromSoft. Then FromSoft's going to be exclusive because that's the MO, right? That's not the play. That's not the Sony play. We're not even talking about PlayStation. PlayStation is an afterthought. Sony is trying to monopolize anime. That's what they've been doing. If you haven't been paying attention, they got Aniplex, they got Funimation, they got whatever the other one was, they got Crunchyroll, they got all these anime things, right? They sucking up all of the anime. And I'm like, wasn't there a whole kind of argument about Microsoft buying Call of Duty? And they were like, monopoly? I'm like, wait, how's that a monopoly? You still got Battlefield, you still got all these other games, all these other corporations, all these other companies, right? It's different with Sony and anime, because they have been, over the years, I would say decade, buying up all the anime studios, all the anime publishers, companies, whatever you want to call it. I don't understand. I don't understand how you could just sit there and ignore it, because it's like, it's right there. They trying to monopolize anime. And I've seen a couple of videos already there where people are upset. They're like, oh my God, Sony. And I'm like, first of all, they're upset because of the monopoly aspect. The second upsetness is that Sony is really bad at making movies, I would say. Their TV shows are less, not important, but they're less of a criteria for excellence, I would say, in their TV shows. So the TV shows could be like, let's put some TV shows out. And they don't care. So it's not a big deal. But yeah, they suck at movies. They've sucked at movies for a long time, and they still suck at movies. Some of them are mid, but they never get past that mid section, the mid part, the mid. They never. Now, Spider-Verse is different. Like I said, I've said it before, I'll say it again. Lord and Miller, anything more Lord and Miller touches and it comes out as Lord and Miller touching it, is good. Solo is the exception. Anyway, so this kind of acquisition, or this attempt at an acquisition, because once again, it's just a letter of intent to Kadokawa, is Sony's attempt. They say, we want to buy you guys. Now, my thing is, Sony can borrow against their worth. Now, I checked the other day. It was like 115 billion, right? So they can afford to buy it if they get a loan, off of against, get that loan against their a portion of their worth, whatever, however they do it, they can figure it out. So they can get the money to buy it. and that would be probably close to $5 billion, right? Would that, I mean, my main concern is the whole anime thing and the fact that, look, how can one side of the gaming media and content creators and everybody else cry foul about Microsoft and their monopolistic ways, right? While Sony is literally creating a monopoly. They almost have a monopoly on anime already, and now this will ensure that they almost have certainly all. They just look it up. They got all this anime stuff. I'm like, where's the anime that they don't have? You know. So I'm like, and plus that, right? That monopolized that monopoly side of it. Plus, they're gaining the manga, the comic books, which is whatever. That's kind of a dwindling industry. It's still there, but it's niche. But the other thing is Famitsu. It's like Japan's premier, magazine / news outlet or whatever. And you always get these numbers. Famitsu says this, Famitsu top 10, blah, 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 whatever, right? And if Sony has that, then they can control the message. And that also affects the industry because they're going to, just propagandize everything. Or, just spin it in their light. And it's just dishonest. Like giant corporations like Sony, who have a vested interest in video games, should not own a video game publication unless they call it PlayStation Famitsu or something, and they just put their badge on it, But if they leave it as is, and people don't realize that, oh, Sony owns Famitsu, oh, why are there all these pro PlayStation articles and stuff in here, and nothing about anybody else, Probably be negative against Nintendo too, because competition in a way, they might not think it, but Nintendo's competition is future competition. Because if everybody's making a handheld, guess who's the king of handhelds right now? It's Nintendo. And so, making a more powerful handheld doesn't make it sell more. That's what Nintendo's been doing that for years. And Sony's tried it 3-4 times already, and they've kind of Microsoft, not so much. And we'll see what happens with that. But anyway, this whole acquisition, and you look at the media, you look at Twitter, you look at all these places, and they're not talking about the anime side. The more important side is everything else but FromSoft. FromSoft is like, yeah, whatever. But the thing is, the people that really don't look at it like critically as well, if you look at the recent acquisitions that Sony has had, look at the state of those studios. Look at the state of those entities. Look at them. And can you say, oh, well, they did a good job, or they know how to nurture organically? They don't. They bought Bungie. Bungie's in shambles. They bought Fire walked out the door because they're gone. They don't exist anymore. Wasn't that their latest acquisition, Firewalk? And so that same thing, the same fate that befuddled, that's not it. The same fate that came to Firewalk and Bungie may be the same fate that From Software gets. And Square, before they decided to wake up and say, well, this exclusivity ain't working. We need to make some money. And so if that's any indication, it really doesn't matter if Sony owns From Software or not, because them taking it exclusive will be the death knell to that company, to that studio. FromSoft won't be the same. FromSoft will be like, yeah, we didn't sell anything. FromSoft has been multi-platform for how long? Except for Bloodborne. Bloodborne's not on the game because they contracted it out. Sony contracted it out. But other than that, everything else has been multi. And I will assume, I don't even know, but I will assume that every other FromSoft game that's multi-plat sold better than the exclusive games that were just on PlayStation. I mean, it's just the one game, right? And then the game that Activision published, which was Sekiro, I'm not sure how many that sold, but it's probably in the same realm. That's a niche title. But once again, the From Software games are niche. I would say Armored Core 5, 6, which was whatever the one they did. That was pretty dope. I mean, I liked how it looked. I didn't play it. But I think that genre that they are in, the Souls-born genre, if you want to call it that, it's not a mainstream genre, first of all. So they're never going to sell like 20 million copies of a game. I mean, I think Elden Ring might be the one that is, excuse me, the most popular. I mean, I don't really know. I would have to look at the numbers to see which one of the games sold the most, but it's the most popular, it's the most renowned, it's the most, you know, critically acclaimed and all that stuff. And the Erdtree was good too. And there's another discussion about the Game Awards, but we're not ready to have that one yet. We as in me. And so they are making these games that are not mainstream games. And the main thing about their games that make them non-mainstream is that there's the difficulty level of those games, the punishing nature of the games. And the conundrum that they find themselves in is that that's kind of what makes them from soft games. That's the kind of unique part of their games, is that it's so punishing, and that it's kind of part of the allure for some gamers, is that this game is hard. You got to get in there, you got to pound your head up against it and keep going and keep going and keep going. And Elden Ring, I think, changed a little bit, because it was like, it's hard, you got to pound your head, but it's also open world, so you can just go to the side and hide behind a tree and just keep going, and then the boss will be like, man, you ran too far, I ain't following you. And then you'll be like, oh, it's not as hard because I don't have to be locked into a boss fight or locked into, you know, a singular pathway. So that's why I think Elden Ring was more successful than the other games, or more renowned, more critically acclaimed, because of that one change, the open world nature, and the fact that you can run away from a fight and not have any like repercussions, consequences of repercussions, right? That makes sense to me. But I'm thinking about the next game. Like, what's the next game that they can make? I mean, they kind of went a little different with the Armored Core, right? 6. And I was like, all right, that's cool. That's cool. If you like mechs and you like to build your mechs and all that, that's cool. But what else can they do that would be kind of akin to Elden Ring, or akin to Demon Souls? You know? I mean, they could like, it could be the same game, but it could be like, oh, it's a futuristic cyberpunk game. But then what game is that called? I can't remember. They made 2 of them. And I played that one. I was like, oh, this is like a Souls-like, but it's like, I mean, I think there's a happy medium in there somewhere. They haven't tapped into it yet. But the open world nature of Elden Ring is one of the key mechanics that they need to keep using. They need to nurture that one, right? I think if they change the setting, and I think if they kind of upped the environmental density, meaning, like, I mean, I don't know how like much nature, like, kind of flurry fluff stuff, like, you know, just, oh, there's some butterflies and some birds and some animals and creatures that you don't really interact with, but it's there to create a sense of kind of authentic world, you know, visuals, if you will, or building. And take it away from the kind of gothic, medieval fantasy type of stuff, and do, you know, if you do a cyberpunk one, right? How would that work? You know, could it be that like some of the dungeons or whatever would be, you know, oh, you go into this industrial complex and there's this company, there's 5 different companies, and, you know, they're running around, and, you know, hey, that's you, and then you got to fight them or something. I don't know. I mean, there's all kind of things that they can probably do. Would that be as cool as Elden Ring? I don't know. I don't know. There's a lot to be said about their games. And if you go back, the history of From Software games, like the first game I played from them was Otogi. I think that's how you say it. Otogi. right? I played Otogi on the original Xbox. I still have it, and I played it recently, and it's not that good of a game. I'm gonna be real. It's okay. It's mid. It's difficult as well. Not as difficult, I would say, but it's I got stuck at one boss because I didn't know what to do, and I was like, "Wait, what do I have to destroy all these pillars?" Because like it was like a main like Buddha statue, right? Whatever, and he was there, and then in the field there was like all these pillars, and then enemies would just keep spawning and I would sit there for just a long time killing all the enemies, and they would never stop, and I was like, there's something, I'm not doing something. There was no guides for it or anything at the time. I don't think there were, and I just gave up. I said, forget it, I'm not doing this. And that's like the second ball. It's like the second board for real. I'm like, I didn't even get far in this. And then I played the demo of Otogi 2. And I was like, this plays way better than the first game. And looked better. Graphics are better. And it's still on the original Xbox. But I never got that game. I just played the demo. I was like, that's cool, but whatever. And I went back to playing whatever Sega game I was playing. Back to Shenmue or something. I don't know. Shenmue 2. Yeah. Sony acquiring them is more troublesome on the monopolistic anime side than the FromSoft side. I'm not worried about FromSoft. If they make it exclusive, that'll be a bad move, and they know it. But they're trying to play both sides. They're trying to have their cake and eat it too. They're trying to be like, oh, we're gonna make stuff exclusive so people buy a PlayStation, but we need to put it on everything too. So it's like, all right, but if you delay it, you're not gonna make as many sales. So we'll see how that works out. But once again, it's not even set in stone. It's a letter of intent. And all these people are saying, oh, they're going to buy them, blah, blah, blah. And then they'd go off on their fancy land. Well, if they buy them, it's going to be exclusive, whatever. But anyway, let me know in the comments below what you think about Sony acquiring all this anime and media stuff and FromSoft. Let me know what you think that Sony would do with that power. Let me know if you think that Sony can actually afford it. You think that Sony should buy it. There's a bunch of questions. And once again, I saw some anime dudes online and they were not happy with what was going down with Sony buying with the anime stuff. So that's me outside of it, because they're anime heads and they ain't like it. So, you know, that may be a greater narrative or consensus that is around out there in the ether, if you will. But anyway, let me know what you think. I'll talk to y'all on the next one. Till the wait.